Episode of People Are Sheeple with your host, your mama. Metal's biggest betrayals. I understand that there's always an influx of new generations coming into the metal realm, and they're going to have their own ideas about what metal is and what the culture is about, the scene, and it's not going to be always correct because metal is an ever-evolving, mutating beast. Unfortunately, there's always corruption involved. It was born out of the necessity, counterculture. Okay, that's very important. It was a counterculture against the establishment that had only corporate interest and government military interest in mind. They did not give a crap about the betterment of society, their health, their mind health, their mental illness situations. It's always profit over people and manipulation into distracting the majority of society into just being obedient consumers, and all the while funding unjust criminal wars overseas in order to maximize profits and establish domination, and just out of cruelty, like crimes against humanity type of deals. And this is where heavy metal came out of. Heavy metal came out fighting against the establishment because it was a human consciousness effort, an awakening that took place. Now fast forward a couple of decades later, and you realize that corporate interest, businessmen, eventually got the upper hand with the internet as a tool to destroy indie labels, to destroy grassroots artists and political figures, and it all became a complete corporate interest music business. There's no longer talent scouts out there going to find real, actual musicians that can create new trends. They went out there for people they could market easily and tell them what to sing, what to write, how to dress, how to look. And if you look at Post Malone's face, you immediately can tell that this guy, this is a delinquent wannabe anti-hero that sings about, maybe being a badass thug, but all the while doing it for love. And that's what these people today listen to, a romantic thug anti-hero. And this is the bad boy that Sharon wanted to pair Ozzy with. It doesn't make any sense. It only makes sense maybe financially to her. I don't think it paid off. I don't see people like raving about it. I guess some Post Malone fans maybe got into Ozzy for a week or two, and then that was it. They're gone. It's the dumbest collaboration I have ever seen, and it's a total betrayal to the metal community. Modern music fans in general, they don't study their music. They just go with whatever the flavor of the week is. And Post Malone has died down considerably because he is part of that whole machination of corporate tactics, are pump an artist for a couple of months and send them out on a world tour, make as much money as possible, because they know that these talentless hacks don't have what it takes to really make more than one or two hit albums, and that's with a lot of help from a whole group of producers that write music for them most of the time. It's just disposable trend horseshit. When I see metalheads or supposed metalheads and they start defending Post Malone, or they just defend him because Ozzy can never do any wrong, this is a huge problem with society, that they don't really think. They just support whatever's out there, and maybe they're just casual fans, but they feel somehow responsible to speak out and defend things just because they like maybe one song, or just because they don't like negativity put out there. And maybe they're all bots. Maybe the record labels have so much money that all they do is put out bots out there, fake accounts that defend bands and promote bands, and it looks like it's real people, and it looks like there's a movement. Just look at that Sleep Token facade, that scam. Sleep Token is total bullshit. It's another part of proof of how corrupt things are. Youngblood, I heard his music, and it's really shallow and very formulaic FM fodder. It's like almost punkish, and there's a lot of romance songs. So schmaltzy, cheesy, tacky romance novel lyrics, because that's what teenage girls will spend their hard-earned money on. And it's really just shallow, very reminiscent of MGK. MGK tried to do that formula as well. He got beat up in the rap and the hip hop world, and then he ushered over with his tail between his legs and started doing this punk rock, cheesy Green Day, just weak sauce, crapola, and he added those romance novel lyrics to get the dumbass teenage girls. Teenage girls are a huge problem. And this young blood guy, apparently he's very attractive or something. I don't know if he's a gay icon as well. But of course, that would make sense because that way they bring in the entire LGBTQ hordes and the straight girls that love those romance songs and that pull their heartstrings and they live for it and they get to scream all night. And this whole situation that we're in right now, where it's only corporate-backed artists that make it into the mainstream, and then of course, dumbass people like Sharon Osbourne takes their money and tries to peddle Ozzy or pushes him along. It's like, hey, this is a good way for you to stay young. This is a good way for you to get involved in the modern times of music. And then, of course, you also had Tony Iommi, that for some reason, I don't know how much he got paid, but this guy Robbie Williams, who nobody knows who the hell he is in America, but he comes from a boy band, and he somehow latched on to the idea of grabbing Tony Iommi, I guess for some street cred. And if you look at the video that he did, I can't remember the name of the song, which is very, very stupid, very forgettable, immediately forgettable. You felt like you watched and you heard nothing. And that's most of Robbie Williams' music throughout, I don't know, I think he's been around for 3 decades. And it's just schmaltzy, cringe, tacky horseshit. And thankfully, nobody in America fell for it, although in America they fall for anything. So that tells you how bad Robbie Williams is. But apparently, according to the sources, he is a UK legend or just a celebrated pop persona. And I can't believe it. It's how bad is education in the UK as well. I was surprised that Tony Iommi is there. He doesn't look very enthusiastic. He's just like standing there doing his bit, and there's like zero enthusiasm. Not that he has any. At the back to the beginning fest, he was doing the same thing. He was just standing there. And granted, he's almost 80. He's been doing this forever, and I think he just wants to make a couple of bucks and maybe just be friendly and be nice to people. I never heard him say anything bad about anyone, and he's a very old man. So I'll back off Tony Iommi because he is a legend, and it could have been worse. Certainly, I have not seen him do any type of stupid collaboration like Post Malone or Young Blood bullshit. Let's move on. We got Nuno Betancourt from Extreme, and Extreme, they seem like they were professional. It was just mediocre, okay. They haven't created waves in ages, so Nuno had to pay those bills because I'm sure he had to maintain his Lamborghini or whatever. Out of all the people in the world, he worked with Rihanna, and if you know Rihanna, Rihanna's just one of the lamest pop artists out there that's just pushed out, of course, by investments, made her mainstream. Her name is just everywhere for a while, and she even got famous by being a punching bag for her boyfriend that's also a R&B singer, artist, quote-unquote artist. And these people make the worst goddamn music you could ever put into your ears. And nobody wants to listen to Rihanna's work. A complete disgrace. And Nuno should be ashamed, and he should be brought to justice. We should repossess his Ferrari, repossess it, and we'll sell it off at auction, give needy school children guitars. And speaking of soulless, sellout douchebags, Metalheads, these people, they swore to the world they would never fall for commercial pressures. they swore they would never sell out to corporate interest and MTV pressures. And what did they do when their main orchestrator, Cliff Burton, their master, the guy that fixed their amateur song, they didn't have the teachings and the ability that Cliff Burton did study for. And therefore, if it wasn't for Cliff Burton, we never would have gotten 4 amazing albums. Metallica probably would have been as big as Testament, sadly. Testament are a great band, but they really they hit a wall. After their second album, they hit a wall, and they just started repeating their formulas. Once Cliff was gone, you could hear songs like Dyer's Eve that they wrote without him, and you can hear it. You can hear them starting to rehash formulas and riffs and ideas, and they were out. They were running on empty. So it was so clear that they needed to sell out with a rock producer that made hits for Motley Crue and Bon Jovi and Kingdom Come, because they needed that money, and they knew they weren't going to last anymore in the thrash realm, and they were tired. They aged greatly from all the touring and all the alcohol and all the debauchery and the loss of their greatest member. And then after that, after they sold out with Bob Rock, and they just went further down the FM radio rabbit hole and just gave us all the biggest embarrassment as metalheads throughout the 90s. Fast forward into the 2000s when they were trying to make a comeback, and guess who they invite over to jam with them? None other than poser supreme Lady Gaga. Now, Lady Gaga has always been a poser. She said that she grew up with Iron Maiden and Metallica, and that's fine. But where is the influence in her own music? Have you heard her music? It's absolute shit. It's garbage. It's typical FM radio nonsense. Nothing burger. And she embarrasses all of us metalheads by saying that she's one of us. No, the hell you're not. You're just a stupid FM radio corporate puppet poser, and you don't deserve any accolades. This lady does not deserve our collective respect. If you respect her and you ever claim online that she has talent and that you like her, you are not a metalhead. Get that through your thick head, you stupid, dense maggots. Metal culture does not involve itself with commercial pop mainstream idiocy. Respect yourselves and respect your fellow metalheads and our history and our culture, or we will have to put you people down. We will put you in concentration camps until you learn to behave and you study heavy metal history and stop being absolute dweebs and ignorant buffoons. Do better. Stop making me cringe. I'm coming after you all.